places such as that?
Non-permanent residents.
By definition, that is not a residential community.
Right, by definition.
Okay. These, pardon?
But they,
Now it's not.
Correct. And these text amendments do not confer a residential community status on that development. So that's still, by our regulations, a campground.
Because that's the same as
These definitions speak to a residential development. Four Winds is not a residential development.
That's what you say.
Well, the special
Yes,
use
people that live there. What do they say?
the special use permit is for a campground.
Right.
We need to have a discussion on that.
We can. Yes, sir.
That's what he says. Whether he enforces it or not is another story.
But we need to have a discussion on that, pretty thorough discussion on that. Okay,
I think it's not him to enforce.
so do we want a second reading, or do we want to forego the second and have and schedule for a public hearing, or do we want to go forward?
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we go to a second reading.
Okay?
second.
Motion by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Seeley, that we have a second reading on this item. The board has another meeting. I think staff is going to recommend that we do not have a meeting on the 27th because we have another one on the 4th. And so it's only a week apart, basically, and I don't know if it's going to be. So put this one off until June. Are you on the 4th?
December 4th?
One other
Okay.
question. Mr. Chairman, is this impacting anybody? Is there any urgency with this?
We have an application pending with Lake Landor
Yeah, they
for
wanted
a
to build
facility.
They want to build administrative building.
Okay. Okay. I understand.
All right, the 4th. To be brought back for second reading on the 4th.
When are they doing?
Thank you.
When are they doing? Oh, we can ask them. It's okay. I don't see another one. I thought 7 was in the it's not.
How about the continued discussion for citizen outreach efforts?
That's fine.
4.
Number 4.
Let's go to number 4. Is that yours?
Mine or Mr. Parton's, but
Okay.
I think I can handle it.
Go ahead.
We had some discussion about this citizen outreach, and we wanted, in the memo that Alan prepared, ask some specific questions of what you all had in mind for us to do, whether it was going to be set up like you had a committee once before of business leaders and board members appointed those, or whether it was going to just be an open forum. Just needed some guidance on how we were going to prepare that.
Discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Seeley?
in light, first of all, let me say is I don't disagree with the process, but I think this budget year is going to be probably more complicated than others in that the governor has already requested a 4% cut from all state agencies. I don't know what that's going to mean to us from the state flow down to us and the agencies that we have that are funded, and I think it's going to make this a lot more complicated, and we're not going to know what those effects are going to be until after the General Assembly session. So I don't disagree with, and maybe we want to have a work session and do public comment on the budget further down the process and allow folks to come in and comment rather than do it at the budget hearing, do one early and allow public comment on where we are. Because I think getting any two citizens together, I've got 5 or 6 that would like to do this, and I'd have to pick a couple, and if the group's too big, it'll be very difficult.
No, I think you're right. We need to certainly limit the number of members. Okay. Any other thought? How does the board wish to move forward with this? Do you want to?
I mean, you're talking citizen outreach efforts. Are those going to cost us?
I don't think so. don't know that they are. I don't know what the cost is going to be.
So if our budget's going to be reduced to zero,
You won't have
I could meet people at Food Line and say, we're having a citizen outreach at Food Line or whatever. And we all do district meetings. That's the same kind of thing. You just want a bigger audience.
Well,
So we'd have to advertise. That's basically it, right?
we'd have to advertise. That's exactly right. I had a couple of people come to me, and one guy recently called me back and said, "Hey, has any more been done about this thought process?" And his concern was, and I too agree, is the fact that there are a lot of people that have more expertise on certain issues than we do, to be quite honest with you. And if you had an opportunity to bring them together and to listen to what they had to say, and they could share. If you recall, last Wednesday night, when we had a meeting about the radio system, there were residents there were citizens there that had some great ideas that maybe, and evidently the committee hadn't thought of them, and we certainly had not thought of them, to go forward. And I'm just saying this group, we can switch off. It doesn't have to be the same people. If you switch off on a regular basis as to who comes to these meetings, but at least you get their input and you hear what they have to say, and you basically feed off of their expertise in different areas. And that was the thought process.
I mean, I think you're right. And again, Earl Sharp is here. Thanks for being here.
And George is here. George
Last week,
Bean's
Earl,
here.
where's George? I didn't bring my
George,
glasses.
over
Oh, I
there.
see George. And you both are in the Mattapanai district, which means I talked to them at the polls on Tuesday.
I understand.
That's how they got there,
Right.
and they both kind of volunteered to come.
Right.
So I think that's the same thing we do.
That's-
And maybe our work sessions that we have is the time we reach out to people like that and say, that's what we're doing. So I'm all for moving on. I don't see that it'll be a big cost other than our normal advertising in the paper. And we could say, board meeting is such and such a day, and oh, by the way, there's a work session. Anybody with expertise on whatever subject, please feel free to come. And we let them talk. So
But I think it's good that if you sort of identify people,
Formalize
they
it.
feel more included if you invite them and you identify them, rather than just saying it's an open discussion for people in general. So, okay, Mr. Underwood?
I think, both processes have validity. I think any citizen should be able to have a point of discussion, should be able to discuss it. By the same token, for the basis of some orderly process, I can see where we would want to have a committee of folks. So I think it works both ways. As long as the citizens are heard, I think that's what's most
it.
important.
That's it.
We make sure there's a vehicle by which they can be heard.
Absolutely. Again, I've in the years that I've been here, I can tell you a lot of the best ideas have come from the people that we represent, rather than coming from us as elected officials. And so that's all I'm saying is let's listen to them. And so, if the board has no objection, we can get with staff. Are you in agreement with what Mr. Pardon has listed here as to the way it's to be organized and formalized?
why don't we just start it now as kind of an informal process, and then kind of formalize it as we
Okay.
move on to the budget and the school capital projects and things like that. So it might be a good idea to just, do it informal, like he says, and put an ad in the paper and just get comments from folks. No, I don't think we want to pick people to say, because, okay, I'm going to pick Earl and George to talk about the radio system. But there may be, a Marconi out there that I don't know that knows more about radio systems than even them. But if we advertise, we can get them and everybody else,
But-
regardless of the
But
subject.
don't we individually, I think we know our district pretty well.
Who do you know that knows the radio system in Madison?
Well, he was in Madison, he's in Landor now, but he works for Sprint, I believe it is. And he's quite knowledgeable. I talked to him one afternoon, and he's
But see, he's gone now.
really good. He's still in the county.
But I mean, he's gone from your
Yeah,
district. If we had to pick people, that's
But
what
I
I'm
can-
saying. Let
But
them
I
come
can
to
find,
us.
I know of people that I could find on that particular issue. But again, I just think in general talk about issues. For instance, the guy that called me was out of his district, and he was concerned about AP Hill, but Jeff's district.
Okay.
And he was concerned about AP Hill and how AP Hill was trying to infringe on the county and things of that nature. And he had some thoughts along those areas. He has a daughter that works for, I believe she works for the Pentagon. And so he had some ideas about, or she had some ideas as to how we could work through the Pentagon. So,
Yeah, I mean,
You know, Mr. Chairman, I like the idea that, citizens can present something in writing if they don't want to come before the board, but certainly, again, if we have a panel and allow them the opportunity to send something, we're opening both avenues. I think the more flexible we are in terms of avenues to hear, the better off we can be. So I just think we need to provide all avenues, either by email or some form that's available to them to make their concerns known.
maybe another option is that we have particular items that we allow citizens to talk about, rather than just being on citizen comments. If we talk about school construction projects, maybe there's somebody out there who's a contractor who could come and speak on that particular subject from wherever he's from, or,
all right, we need to work through this a little better. We need to think this out a little bit more and talk it through, because I think we all agree that we want input from the citizens. Now it's just a matter of how we bring it into to focus and make it more formalized than what it is now. So let us talk about that, and we'll put it back on the agenda after the first of the year.
oh.
Well, I thought we did. I thought Mr. Underwood made the motion and Mr. Seeless. No, yeah, no, Mr. Seeless. Okay.
Jeff made the second.
I made the second.
Yeah, he made the second.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Did we never
they're
vote?
saying we didn't vote. So let us go back and vote on
We'll
the.
vote on item 10.
Second reading.
Mr.
Can I ask Mr. Fincham something on that? About the
Second reading?
Yeah, about the second reading. Just for a
Okay,
second.
yeah, sure. We haven't voted yet, evidently.
I understand the concerns of the other supervisors up here. Obviously, this is my district. How will this affect, I mean, the Landor building is, as they've been, I mean, they really want that. So how is this going to affect the construction of that building or the time frame, if at all, by coming back for a second reading?
It would push that whole approval process back until you hold the public hearing and adopt the proposed changes. But addressing, I think, the concerns I heard, we can strike property, I think we could strike property owners association and just keep homeowners association, which if there's any doubt about other land uses, I think that would take care of that.
But isn't Landor considered a property owner? Landor is considered a property owners association.
Oh, they're not a homeowners?
There we are, a property owners
Okay,
association.
then we can't do that. I can come up with some other suggested language that's more restrictive that I think will address the board's concerns.
So how many weeks are we talking about adding to the process as far as Lake Landor is concerned as to what they'll now have to do?
Since there are no other meetings in December, it would go to January.
You need to get started.
Yeah, we need to get started. I don't, yeah, we need to get started.
Can you advertise for the public hearing?
Yeah, we could certainly advertise for public hearing and have a change made to the draft that addresses the concerns that have been raised tonight, and you can hold a public hearing if they're, it's not acceptable, then you.
What are you're holding a public hearing on what has been proposed, and I think the board has some issues with what's being proposed. So would you have the public hearing on the new language,
Yeah, we would
or
just.
what's in the his proposal?
I believe we can make modifications that are more restrictive.
Oh, I do too. I want the second reading too, because I think there's some things in here that are just, that concern me. All I was trying.
Can we pass an emergency ordinance so they can bill that, since it's 60 days out?
I don't know.
Not on zoning?
So we adding a month, is what you're saying, to the process for Lake Landor?
Yes, sir.
Because we're going to have another meeting after December the 4th until probably January 8th. Is that the day? Okay, January the 8th.
Yes, sir.
And we can have the public hearing that night if the changes that are made on the 4th are accepted.
We could also defer this until later in the meeting if you want to, if there's a specific issue that we can iron out prior to advertising.
I don't know that it's any issue that we can iron out between now and the end of the meeting. It is because there's some things in here that I just want to make sure that everybody understands. I think there are board members here that want to make sure they understand it. The one item that I question is the one that concerns me greatly. I mean, it really does.
So is there no avenue?
Are we, you're not proposing a work session in December either, are you?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, I don't know what else we can do at that point. All right, we go back to the vote. The motion been made, second, that we have a second reading on the 4th of December. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Mr. Black, you voted nay, right? 5 ayes and 1 nay. Okay. All right, the board's going to take a 20-minute break. Next item on the agenda this evening is public comments. I would ask Mrs. Hall if she would read the guidelines for the public comment period, and if anyone that wishes to address the board on any issue at all, there are no public hearings, so any issue that you feel like you'd like to address the board on, you come forward and state your name and your voting district. Ms. Hall, if you would explain the guidelines.
The public comment period shall be for the purpose of allowing the public to speak to the board on any matter which is not scheduled for public hearing at this meeting. To help conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, please refrain from clapping or other public demonstrations of support or opposition. The public comment period shall not serve as a forum for debate with the board or a question and answer period with the board. Remarks shall be addressed only to the board and not to staff, the audience, or the media. All public comments shall be made in a respectful manner. Cursing and antagonistic behavior are prohibited and shall be grounds for removal from the meeting. Comments should focus on matters or issues before the board or county and not individual board members or staff. Comments which single out an individual board member or staff may be ruled out of order by the chair. Each speaker shall clearly state his or her name and voting district, if applicable. There shall be a time limit for each individual speaker of 3 minutes. No speaker shall address the board more than once during the public comment period at any single board meeting. County administrator will time the speakers and notify them when their time has expired. Copies of the detail rules are located on the back table.
All right. Having hearing that, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on any issue whatsoever? Please come forward, state your name and your voting district, please.
Good evening, members of the board and the community. My name is George Bean, and I reside in the Mattapanai district that is very capably represented by Supervisor Thomas. In addition to being a county resident, I am the Assistant Amateur Radio Emergency Services Coordinator for the county. Amateur Radio Emergency Services provides backup communications for the county in the event of an emergency, and we're called upon by the county officials to join them in the EOC next door. I also spent 20 years as a telecommunications network engineer before retiring, and I'm an FCC licensed commercial radio telephone engineer. I'm here tonight to speak in support of the purchase of a wholly owned Caroline County's Motorola 700 megahertz radio system. I've reviewed the proposals submitted by the vendors and concur with the recommendations of the working committee. I feel that the wholly owned 700 megahertz system is the best solution for the 4 county radio user groups and the taxpayers who will fit the bill. I consider tenancy on either the Hanover or Spotsylvania systems to be penny-wise, 1/16 of the project cost, or 1/6, I'm sorry, and pound-foolish, 2 tower sites and a central control system. Systems tuned to meet the more urban and suburban characteristics of Hanover or Spotsylvania counties may not be well suited to serving our rural county. It also leaves us out of the loop when decisions are made on improvements and expenditures. Owning and operating our own system ensures that we can shape it entirely to meet our needs and control the purse strings. Members of the board have expressed some concerns over the long-term viability of this purchase. I'd like to take a moment to address that question. Most radio systems built today are software-defined radios. The hardware has become almost a universal shell that is manipulated by the software. Rather than upgrading hardware to introduce new features or meet new mandates, such as narrowbanding, new software is loaded in the system. This reduces labor requirements, minimizes costs, and allows major changes to be executed almost overnight. The system proposed by Motorola is a grouping of software-defined radios, and as such, would stave off obsolescence for the financing period. As delivered, the system will meet all proposed FCC mandates for the next 10 to 15 years. While I've expressed some concerns over the execution details of the Motorola 700 megahertz design, they have been heard, and I feel that they can be addressed within the framework of the proposed contract. Therefore, I urge the members of the board to vote in favor of purchasing a new 700 megahertz radio system from Motorola and prevent an interruption in county communication services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bean.
One last thing, I got to look at the memo that was distributed. I can't agree with that memo. I believe the FCC is going to want cold, hard cash projections in hand rather than some nebulous schedules.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board on any issue this evening?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Earl Sharp, and I reside in the Mattaponi District. I believe the western Mattaponi that had the longer line during the election. I'm here tonight to speak in regards to the public safety radio system. Thank you for the opportunity, allowing me the opportunity to speak during the work session on this subject. I found it very refreshing, but disturbing that the county has put a lot of time into it, but has not made a couple of key decisions on that. Basically, my comments are very short to 4 points tonight. Don't continue to kick the issue down the road. I think Mr. Taylor said it earlier, get all the information and make an informed decision on there. You have the opportunity to do that. You've already secured procurement with a vendor, which allows you to negotiate and or choose your contract of your choosing. Also urge you to look at all of your options as far as alternative funding sources. Also look at all your other options, as I believe outlined in the memo from the county administrator, which I saw tonight, and also utilize your resources. I think it's Mr. Emerson, am I correct? You have legal counsel there, engage them, and also engage help from other state resources, federal resources. You have a lot of opportunity out there, on this to address a lot of these things. You have some tough decisions. I would urge you, like I said, to continue to move forward on them. Do not continue to kick the issue around. You've already made the first step in choosing the vendor. Now start looking at the details and start getting into the system and make a decision. We all that were in attendance and the public that had the opportunity to see the material from the presentation saw the propagation maps. This is what we hear in the field. We're not able to get out from the public safety side of things. So basically we would urge y'all to improve the system. Help the public safety folks out. That includes their friends from law enforcement, fire, rescue, emergency management, schools, all hands on that. I really don't know what to say other than, and the one thing is I found it refreshing to see y'all communicate some of these items out there, and I would encourage the board to regularly do that. Communicate with your constituents and your special interest groups on that, and go forth with some of those outreach items. I would urge you to continue to press forward with a decision and or actions on this. I will not debate the finer points of whether you will get a waiver or not. That's what Mr. Emerson gets paid for. Mr. Culley is, gets paid for to execute those that waiver or request thereof. I do urge you to take action on this and also to look at some long-term planning for this. This will not be a one-time deal where you go in and address the radio system and walk away from it for 8 or 10 years. It is a continual process. No, thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board on any issue?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Wayne Collison. I'm the president of Frog Level Volunteer Rescue Squad, and Mr. Underwood is our representative. Chief Loftus gave us a criteria that we were supposed to meet to be able to reopen our squad, and I'm here tonight to go over the progress of what we've come up with, what we're doing to fill that criteria. He asked for a copy of the bylaws, which we have given a copy of the bylaws to Chief Loftus. It was asked that we assume all the bills, anything that had to do with paying bills for the squad, the utilities, whatever it may be. We have assumed the responsibility of all the bills there. He asked us to restructure our management, our people. This has been done. All leadership roles are people who have the intent of providing the best possible care for the citizens of Caroline County. All are honest and devoted members of our community with the will to make a difference and to strive to serve with the utmost respect. There was an issue about liability and security of what happened to one of our trucks down there in our building. I was going to install cameras over the weekend, but I forgot I had to get approved through the members first. We met on Sunday. They approved for me to have this done. We're going to install cameras with monitors to be throughout our building. Anyone comes in our building or that building, and from the time you're there until the time you leave, we'll know who's there. Now, these, of course, we put in the doorways and entrance and exit, and that it won't be in the sleeping quarters or the restrooms or nothing like that, but the bays and the doors where you come in and out. This will be done within the next 2 weeks. You asked that we have our checking account done by a CPA. This will be done by the end of next week. I will give the copy of whatever needs to be done to Chief Loftus. You've asked that we've been requested to have 20 members. I believe at this point in time we have 20 members on our roster, if not 1 or 2 more. We were told we need to have 10 EMTs on board. At this point in time, we have 6 EMTs. We have 3 others that are interested in coming working with us. We have 1 paramedic that's coming out of Richmond. It's kind of hard to bring people in to run when you don't have trucks, you're not allowed to go out and run. So once these issues are resolved, we'll have the people in place to do what needs to be done at our squad. The scheduling that you requested will follow once we're allowed to open our doors and go back and be operational rescue squad. As you can see, we at Frog Level Volunteer Rescue Squad are pushing forward to get our squad reopened. We have every intention of this happening in the very near future. Every member of our rescue squad is dedicated. They're dedicated to serving the community and the citizens of Caroline County. I know that in the past, the squad has had a set of problems, but you can't change the past. You can only move on with the future. I can assure you, with the leadership that's there now, the problems are done and over with. It's behind us. We're here, we have one intention, and that is to come out and serve the community and the citizens of Caroline County. Do you have any questions for me, gentlemen?
I don't believe so. Thank you, Mr. Collison.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Mr. Thompson.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Harlan Quash, and I'm coming on behalf of Frog Lover Rescue. I was feeling bad when I received the word from my president, Wayne Collison, who just spoke, to inform me that the county had decided to close down Frog Lover. We have been in operation for 30-some years, and yes, we had some issues that was going on. The chief informed us what we needed to do. We solved them issues. I feel that the board did not treat us fair because we were not aware that you all was going to make a motion to close us down. We didn't have the opportunity to speak to you all about the issues that was going on. I made contact with our representative, Mr. Underwood, on asking him to come and meet with us because we had some issues that we wanted to discuss with him. There was no show. In October, we had a serious issue to happen where someone came into our squad, turned on both of our ambulances, locked the doors, and closed the bay doors. Yes, when our EMTs arrived there, found the issue, we called the sheriff department to make a report of the incident. We had no idea who did it. We are hoping that the sheriff department will do that investigation and find out who tried to sabotage our squad. The chief, Longton, has put stipulations on us, which I don't think that is fair. He informed Mr. Collison and the captain of our squad, which is Jessica Collison, that the reason that he was closing the squad was because we were not answering emergency calls, and that the county could not afford to support us because of economic problems. Then we get the newspaper, and it's a whole different story. It was not what he informed us, the reason that he was closing it. He gave us one story, gave the Carolina Progress and the Freelance Star a different story. I feel like this. I have been in the squad for 14 years, and I love running rescue, but due to my illness, I'm not able to run calls at this time. But if you're going to stimulate one squad, then you should put stimulation on all the rest of them. We have Bowling Green Rescue not answering calls. We have Upper Caroline. Their volunteers are not answering any calls. But Frog Lover was answering calls on the weekends. No, we don't have anyone to do on the weekdays because most of our members live 15 or 20 minutes, maybe an hour away from the squad. But when the chief complained to us about not answering, all our members stepped forward and chose to run on the weekends. The chief was saying that it's not going to affect the community. That's not true. It will affect our community because even though we have the career staff stationed at Frog Lover Fire Department, if they get a call, they are on a call. We get another call in our district, we got to wait for either Ladysmith, Bowling Green to respond. If they are not available, we got to wait for Hanover, which Hanover only comes on certain calls. King William, they are mutual aid with us, but most of the time when the dispatcher tones them out to come to us, they are not available. So I'm saying this, that if we still had our volunteers at our squad running, they will be able to run calls in our district when the career staff is already out on a call. That was not done with any other rescue, and I think that it's not fair they put the stimulations on us. We made our effort to go out and run these calls, and the chief feels that he can say, okay, I just going to put stimulation on Frog Level. I don't think it's fair. I understand that he took one of our ambulances, Unit 512, carried it to Bowling Green, and our name has been stripped off of the ambulance. I'm coming to the board to ask, why was it done? Who gave him permission to do it? And I feel that this should be investigated because we, as Frog Level Rescue and the community of Dawn and the area that are in Frog Level, we raise money ourselves through grants and everything to purchase our ambulances. And 512, which is I'm concerned about, is registered in both names, Frog Level Rescue and Caroline County Fire Rescue. My question is, I want to know who gave him the authority to strip our ambulance without informing us that they were going to do that. They had the career staff to take the ambulance from out of our building and bring it to Bowling Green and store it in our squad. I think that it's Frog Level Rescue. It should have stayed in Frog Level Rescue.
All right, Ms. Squash, we normally allow for 3 minutes and 5 minutes, and so you've exceeded. I will allow you to go over 6 minutes. I will assure you, and we do not normally comment during public comment period, but I can assure you that the county administrator will certainly look into what you've asked for, Mr. Underwood, unless you have a concern with it, and respond to you as to why the Frog Level, if the Frog Level name has been taken off of the squad, why and by whose authority that was done. And I'm sure this is equipment that was purchased. Generally, nowadays, most of the equipment, if not all the equipment, is purchased by the county, except maybe there may be grants, and we do try to get grants, but the county does match that. And I'm not sure how old this squad is that you're speaking of. But we'll certainly check into all those things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Squash. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Hi, my name is Rita Braxton, and I'm here to oppose them shutting the doors on the rescue squad, and I'm in agreement like with what they have said or whatever. I didn't know all of that was going on, but I would like to say that the volunteer rescue squad in Caroline County and Frog Level, Dawn area has been a very good asset to the people in the community that live in that area. If we had to wait for a rescue squad like from Ladysmith or Bowling Green, it would take over 20 minutes, and that's if they don't have another call. And if they have like another call or 2 calls, it might take them half an hour to an hour or more, and by that time people could be dead, somebody having a heart attack or anything. So it's very important to us in our area to have, you know, this rescue squad, and they've done wonderful work over the years. I know people that have called the rescue squad, and they've gotten there in like 3 or 4 minutes, and you know that's very important to everybody. And they had to fight so hard years ago to get that rescue squad back in the, I don't know if it was the 70s or 80s or something, but it's a very important asset to our community, and I'm just here to let you know what it means to me, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people too.
Thank you, Mr. Braxton. Appreciate your comment.
I'd like to say good evening to the board. Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to speak. I'm Marvin Fields. I live at 31015 Richmond Turnpike, down in the Dawn area. I'm from the Reedy district. I too echo the comments that have already been repeated, and I'll say it again. I live in the Dawn area. I also pastor Second Mount Zion. Some of our members have come to be a part of this, and we take this quite serious. And a lot of us were not aware of certain things. It's been made aware of the possible closing of this without us even really knowing anything about it. And so I'm quite disappointed that we didn't know certain things. Meetings were set up and folks, for some reason, didn't communicate and didn't show up. That disturbs me. because we want to be treated just like everyone else. So we would like for you to really reconsider closing this this fog level rescue squad. Some of our original members are here tonight that have labored, that have worked very hard. I think 3 of our original members are here tonight. And they put a lot of sweat, blood, and tears. So we'd like for you to really take this thing serious. We don't want any lives lost unnecessarily. We solicit your help and ask that you would give us your cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Fields. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Tasha James. I'm not much on speaking, but I have to come because I'm here on behalf of the Frog Level Rescue Squad. 2.5 weeks ago, my father passed, and Frog Level Rescue Squad has been wonderful to him. My father had breathing problems. If they were not there and they had to deal with either Bowling Green or Ladysmith, my father might not have made it. So I just would echo at what everyone else has said. Please reconsider on opening the Frog Level Rescue Squad. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. James. Anyone else who would like to address the board?
Good evening. I'm Felicia Smithers, and I'm a resident in the Reedy Church District. I have a big issue with communication from the board to the constituents in certain districts, in my district particularly. With the closing of the rescue squad, that kind of brought the issue to the forefront where I feel like something really needs to be done. And please correct me if I'm wrong on this because I may have missed some things. But early in the term of my supervisor, Mr. Underwood, I remember seeing a notice about a meeting that would be held in both parts of the district. And I later saw that the one in the side of the county that I live on was canceled. Now, I used to get the Carolina Progress regularly. I haven't gotten it in about a month. I just need to renew my subscription. But I haven't gotten any feedback in terms of meetings being held. And with something like the rescue squad being an issue, something like that is vitally important. And for issues not to have been communicated to us to let us know that there were issues. I mean, there may have been things that other members of the community could have done to help fix whatever the issues were before it got to the point of being closed, had we known about it. And so I don't know how the members of the board communicate the meetings to the people. I do sign up for Carolina Alerts. I have not so far noticed that there's anything there that would alert us for meetings, but perhaps that's another means that could be used. And I use email and text messages all the time. There may be something in the paper I might miss, or a week I might not get it, but if I got it in a text message or an email, I'd know, and I could let other people know. So I'm just asking the board, particularly my own supervisor, to find a way to, number one, set up regular meetings with the constituents, and number two, make sure we know that that's being held. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smithers.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Thomas Field, and I'm coming on behalf of the Frog Level Rescue Squad, and I'm one of the original members, and I really would hate to see the squad close up. I put in 20 years running rescue squad. Through the lifetime, just Henry Cross myself around the whole county. During the week, during the day. And I would hate to see the squad just close up. I don't know all the details about it, why, but I'm coming to you all on behalf of the rescue squad. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Anyone else?